Hi. So just before I leave to Israel, I want to give you a summary of three chapters in the book of Isaiah. I'm not going to teach them verse by verse, but I will tell you what it is about. So we're in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah lived at the time of the destruction of the first temple. So he was still talking about the destruction, which means that he lived around 600 BCE, the temple having been destroyed in 586. Okay, the beginning of the book speaks about the coming destruction, and after chapter 40, it speaks about comforting the people now that the destruction had taken place. It's not really credible that he lived for a couple hundred years. So therefore, many people believe that chapter 40 begins a period of a second Isaiah. Orthodoxy doesn't believe that, so you can't refer to that. But if you ever come across the question, how come he's talking about destruction, and then he's talking about conciliation, how old was he? So that's the background. In chapter 5, he has an allegory. An allegory is a mashal in Hebrew. So he speaks about his people, about living in a vineyard, okay? And he speaks about this allegory to his friend Yadid, beloved, um, about the vineyard. And of course, the vineyard refers to somebody else. It refers to Israel and Judah. So he talks about the vineyard, that he worked so hard to take out the stones and to plant and to build a castle within it. And he made a place where to make the wine, and instead of grapes, it brought him wild grapes, sour grapes that were not usable. And of course, that's the reference to Jerusalem. God did so much for the Jewish people, for the Israelites, and he brought them to Judah and he brought them to Israel. And now, you people, you be the judge between me and my vineyard. What should I do with my vineyard that I haven't done yet? Why is it that I was hoping to get grapes, sweet, delicious grapes, and all I got was wild grapes, which are sour and useless? So I will tell you more about my vineyard and myself. I took away the hedges and they were eaten up. I'll break down the fences and they'll be broken down. I will lay it waste and not be pruned, nobody will look after it, because here is the punchline. The vineyard of the Lord, the vineyard of God, is the house of Israel and the men of Judah. And when he speaks of Israel and Judah, Israel was destroyed at 522 BCE. Judah still survives. So he speaks to Israel as if Judah is worse because they had already evidence of what happened to Israel when it misbehaved, and it continues the same way. It was looking for justice, but they found violence. Okay, woe is to them, join house to house, that lay field to field, will be no room. Okay, so Judah is going to have the same fate as Israel did. Okay, woe is unto them that join house to house, field to field, till there's no room, and you made to dwell alone in the midst of the land. So Judah is left alone. 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one bath. In other words, the crop is so poor that you hardly get any crop from all the efforts. So this is what he's speaking about, Judah and Israel, and in other words, preparing them that clearly destruction has to take place because of their justify the wicked for reward and take away righteousness of the righteous from him. So they are working against the righteous people, and all they're doing is helping those that are wicked, the Rasha'im. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to say here. I think I'll leave that alone now. we're skipping to chapter 6. Chapter 6 is a very bizarre chapter because it speaks about how Isaiah becomes a prophet. So when a rabbi becomes a rabbi, it's called ordination, ordination en français. Yeshayahu is being ordained as a prophet. Now we know how Moses was ordained as a prophet. He meets God at the burning bush, and Moses says, "Send whomever you want. I can't. I don't know how to speak," etc. Now it's Isaiah's time, and there's all sorts of symbolism where an angel comes to make him a prophet, and Isaiah is going to say, "I can't speak." So God takes a burning stone and puts it to his mouth as if to symbolically purify him, and therefore he becomes a prophet. So in the year of Uzziah's death, and I saw a vision. God is sitting on his chair, and um, his train, like a train of a bride's dress, the train of God is filling the entire temple. There are angels, seraphim. There are angels with six wings, and his feet is covered. Everything is covered, and one says to the other, "Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh, Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz kevodo." The posts of the door were moved like this awesome experience of meeting God. Then I said, "Woe is to me! I am undone. I am a man of unclean lips." So it's as if Isaiah is saying, "I'm not worthy of prophecy. I dwell in the midst of people who are unclean. So how can I be a prophet?" And then the seraphim flew on to him, and they touched his hand to his mouth with the burning stones, glowing stones. And he touched his mouth, and he says, "Lo, nagaze al sfatecha." Lo, this touched your lips, and your iniquity, your sinfulness is taken, your unworthiness is taken away, and your sin is gone. So now you're ready to do prophecy. And I heard a voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go?" And Isaiah said something bizarre. He said, "Here I am. Hineni. Here I am. Send me." Moses resisted. He didn't want to be a prophet. Jeremiah didn't want to be a prophet. And here Isaiah says, "Hineni shlacheni." Send me. I'm ready to go. Okay, so Isaiah becomes a prophet, and he speaks about the heart of the people is fat and heavy, and his soul is weak and needs to be healed. So this is Isaiah, and there's only a little bit of the people left because the north has been exiled. So this is Isaiah being ready to do prophecy. This word here is important. Ve'od ba Assyria. And if there be yet only 1/10 left of the Jewish people, God is going to come to help them. The last chapter I'm doing at this tape is 11. 11 is a very interesting chapter. Most people interpret this to be a reference to messianism. It's also a very important chapter in Christianity, which you're not going to hear about. And he speaks about the ideal time of the Messiah. So there'll come forth a shoot of the stock of Jesse, and Christianity interprets this to be Jesus. Yishai was the father of David. So we understand this to be somebody from the house of David. So do Christians, except for them, Jesus comes from the house of David. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, this messianic figure, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, spirit of counsel and might, knowledge and fear of God. This delight shall be in fear of God, and he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes. He's not going to do what he feels like. He's going to do what God tells him. And the righteousness shall be judge of the poor and decide with equity, fairness. So God is going to do everything with fairness and righteousness. and faithfulness. And here is the important prophecy. Second, I'll just move it a bit. And the wolf should dwell with the lamb, and the leopard should lie down with a goat baby, a kid, and a calf and a young lion are together, and a little child should lead them. What the prophet is saying here, that an age is coming which is exactly counter to nature. So the wolf and the lamb are enemies, they're predators. And the leopard with the kid and the calf with the young, will all people will have total peace in the world. Total peace in the world. And the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child should put his hand on the basil skins. Then it'll be counter to nature, total nature harmony, harmony in nature. So this is the vision of messianism, and there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, Judah, because Assyria is gone. Israel has taken Assyria away, like there was for Israel on the day came out of the land. Okay, in chapter 35, which I'm not going to do now, chapter 35 speaks about the blossoming of the wilderness, and the parched land shall be glad, and the desert shall rejoice. The blossom arose and blossom abundantly. This speaks about making the desert bloom. And this was an extremely popular chapter when Israel was created, when Jews saw themselves as making the deserts bloom, with the Jewish people returning to their land. Chapter 40 will speak about comforting the people after the destruction of the temple. Comfort ye, my people, says the Lord. Nachamu, nachamu, ami, yomar Elohechem. Tell Jerusalem, take heart and proclaim unto her that her time of service is accomplished, that her guilt is paid off, namely, a new voice is coming in the wilderness, and the Jewish people will recover and will be restored in their land. So these are very important chapters. I will teach these to you when I return from Israel. Have a